Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to ZFG Radio number 2. This is the big one, ladies and gentlemen. This is the big one. I'm here with Elysium Gaming and Nate King Game. Gentlemen, how are you?
Hello. I'm good.
I honestly thought you said Nick can go fuck himself.
No, I would never say that.
Yes, you would.
I definitely would. In a heartbeat.
So,
Fuck off, John.
we're on the heels of AEW Dynamite that just aired about 5 minutes ago. And let's talk about that to kick things off. So we open the night with the men's quarterfinal match, Samoa Joe versus the Joker, who would later to be revealed as Johnny Drip, Johnny Elite. Nate, your thoughts on Johnny Elite's debut?
I think it's kind of it's good for John that he actually has somewhere that he can truly show off how good he is. Granted, a lot of people are going to be angry. They thought, oh, it's going to be Cesaro. Oh, it's going to be Will Ospreay. Oh, it's going to be this guy or that guy. But John Morrison is not a downgrade. He's phenomenal. He's what? Oh, he's in his 40s, right?
Johnny Drip?
Yeah.
God.
He's in his 40s wrestling like that. I think he has a lot of potential and a lot of things to show to all the fans who think that he's done.
John Morrison's been good for a long time, though. I've always thought he's one of the best.
He's been good everywhere but WWE, because WWE won't give him that rub.
I don't think he's good on the mic, but that's just me, though. I don't think he's good on the mic, but that's just one person's opinion. John, your thoughts about Johnny Drip coming to AEW?
I don't really have a thought. I was kind of hoping something bigger.
Yeah.
And that happened, and I'm like, oh, okay. It's like
What up, Big
seeing
Mike?
it's like seeing your first boob. It's like, ooh, okay.
You trying to say the rest aren't as snazzy? Once you see
No.
one set, you got to see them all, bud.
Well, that's what I'm saying now. Is like seeing him was like, ooh, but it didn't really get old.
What's up, Brian? So
it didn't really appeal to me much.
we rolled on in the night. We saw Johnny Drip, obviously. Roppongi Vice is back full-time, which me and Nate marked pretty hard for. And they have challenged FTR for the Ring of Honor World titles because for some reason they had FTR versus the Young Bucks, and they were billing that as the number one contenders match, and now all of a sudden the Young Bucks are fighting Powerhouse Hobbs, Ricky Starks, and Lee and Swerve, which I am mad about that. I like Lee and Swerve getting a shot, but I feel like FTR kind of earned that one after beating arguably one of the best tag teams on the face of the planet and the Young Bucks again. And then later in the night, we would see Maki Ito be revealed as the women's Joker. So, I know what Nate's going to say. John, as a person who does not watch AEW on the reg,
No.
yeah, you heard earlier today that Tony Khan said on Busted Open that it was going to be 2 debuts. 2 people that had not wrestled for AEW previously. The Johnny Drip thing was real. He had never wrestled on AEW before. We get to Maki Ito, who literally wrestled at Revolution just a few years ago, and has made several appearances on AEW. What was your initial thoughts when Maki Ito came out?
I didn't really have a thought. I didn't really have a thought. You said I heard Tony mention anything on Busted Radio. I didn't.
I said that out loud, and you're like, "Oh, you did that." Oh,
Yeah. Oh.
thing.
Yeah. Oh, because that's moment for me. Oh. Okay. Here's the thing. Here's the deal. I don't like giving a lot of wrestling fans the hope of that kind of stuff. I like to disappoint
John doesn't
you
mark
a
out.
little bit.
John doesn't mark out
No.
unless your name is Minoru Suzuki.
Or if you impress me a lot.
Like Minoru Suzuki.
But still, I don't get that excited anymore over that, and sometimes that's what pisses Connor off a little bit, knowing the fact that I don't mark out like he does half the time when he goes, ah!
I marked pretty
But,
hard.
like-
I marked pretty hard for old homeboy
I don't
Johnny Drip Drip.
I don't get into it anymore. Like, you guys still do, which is fine. I just don't find it compelling.
So,
I
so Nate, before you talk about Maki Ito, because both me and you were like, that's a letdown. I have a question. So the Jokers in like everything that like they have done, whether that be the casino battle royals, the casino ladder matches, and shit like that, have always supposed to have been a big deal. Tonight, neither one of the Jokers won. Granted, I'm happy Maki Ito didn't beat Britt Baker because that match, in my opinion, was a horse's ass. But Johnny Drip Drip lost to Samoa Joe, which, I mean, that makes sense. Like, why would he come in and immediately beat Joe? But I don't know. I feel like that was I mean, they could have had Jay Lethal screw him over, but I mean, teach their own. I don't understand why they had them come in and both lose. Your thoughts? What's up, Aline?
Who, me?
Yes, you, Nate.
I think that looking back at the show, it was pretty obvious to see that both the Jokers were going to lose. And if you're going to bring someone in like Athena or like Dakota Kai, someone like that, you're not going to bring them in and have them lose their first match. So looking back at it, Maki Ito was a very smart business decision. It was just a risky business decision.
True.
Because you're risking pissing off a lot of fans who tuned in expecting to see someone of like a bigger stature in the States. But that's also appealing to a international market, which is also smart given that they're working with a Japanese company next month. So
now, the only other segment I'll talk about before we roll on here is going to be my favorite segment of the night. Is well, yeah, okay, I guess we can talk about the Wardlow thing, but before that, the Blackpool Combat Club and the Jericho Appreciation Society had a face-off where Jericho, the favorite part of it, if you can't get past the promos, the one-liners, is when Jericho goes to say, we're going to have a match, and it's going to be the Stadium Slam, and then Moxley goes, no, we ain't doing that stupid bullshit. And I laughed so hard, because I was like, thank you, Moxley, you said what I was thinking. I was like, please, no, not another Stadium Stampede. The first one was cool, because, you know, it was COVID, they had to, like, figure out what to do with an empty arena, so, like, Stadium Stampede, fight all over the arena, that made sense. The second one was like, welcome the fans back, let's have a Stadium Stampede and to get the fans involved. And then, like, there would be no reason for a third one. There's absolutely no reason to have a third Stadium Stampede. And they're not even in a stadium. I'm pretty sure they're in the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, aren't they?
I think so.
Like, for Double or Nothing. Yeah, I believe they're at the MGM Grand. But, like, and Moxley's like, we're going to have a gang warfare. And at first I thought he was going to say guerrilla warfare. Because, like, PWG, that's what they do. And, John, I don't know if you've ever... So, you probably haven't seen this. Do you remember back in, like, 98... when Stone Cold was, like, teamed up with, like, Cactus Jack, the Road Warriors, and shit like that? They had, like, a guerrilla warfare, like, gang fight against Team Savio Vega. And, like, they're throwing, like, trash cans at each other from across the ring.
No.
That was, like, the only other one I've seen outside of PWG was like that. It's, like...
That's okay.
Yeah, it's just... I don't know. I feel like that's going to be a good fight, though. So what do you, so Nate, your thoughts on the Jericho Appreciation Society versus Blackpool Combat Club promo warfare that would then later lead to, Eddie Kingston saying, let's fight, partner?
I don't know, honestly.
Well, good, because I'm saving this one for John. John! Give me your opinion on Eddie Kingston. A little bit of backstory. John fucking hates Eddie Kingston with a passion. He fucking, if you guys watched the last episode, he shot for like 10 minutes on Eddie Kingston. So I want to know, now that you're getting another taste of Eddie Kingston, how do you feel about that promo?
Well, let me walk back and forth, stubbly legs and all. Backwards hat, baggy jorts, and a shirt that's
a fat John
like,
Cena.
I thought he was gonna say backwards hat, bitch.
and a baggy shirt that's like way too big for him, and
that's so he doesn't look fat.
And have a little bit of a slur behind him when he speaks. I just don't care for him. I really don't care for him. He's awful. So it's just the way that he's. I've mentioned this so many times. He's the hot-headedness on him, like.
So Nate, you touched on something earlier. You're talking about the women's division and how the Dakota Kai thing would have been, you're not going to ever come in and lose. So speaking of the women thing, so breaking news Monday night, if you guys watch Monday Night Raw, some shit happened during Raw. Some, real shit actually happened during Raw. So at the beginning of the show, they announced a six-pack challenge. It was going to be Sasha Banks, Naomi, Doudrop, Nikki Ash, Asuka, and Becky Lynch. The winner of that match would get a shot at Bianca Belair at Hell in a Cell. Apparently, a quarter of the way in the show, Sasha Banks and Naomi went to Vince McMahon and said, in layman's terms, this doesn't work for me, brother. Because apparently it was set up that Naomi was going to fight Bianca and Sasha was going to fight Ronda, and they were both going to lose. And they weren't about that because they said they weren't respected enough as a tag team, handed in their titles, and walked. So, work, before we get to the big question here, I'll ask this one. Nate, you'll go first. Work or shoot? Just give me an answer. Work or shoot?
Work.
John, work or shoot? You think this is real or you think they're playing it?
Well, they haven't posted anything on social media about it, so...
WWE did.
WWE released an official statement about it.
Not on social media.
Yes, they did. It came from their Twitter.
On their actual website and their Twitter.
Yeah, that's how I pulled it up was I went to WWE.com. I'll read you the statement that they posted. So hold on, John. I got you. Hold on. So their official statement. This is WWE's official statement on Sasha and Naomi.
And I'll send it to VC chat, by the way.
Good. When Sasha Banks and Naomi arrived at the arena this afternoon, Monday, they were informed of their participation in the main event of tonight's Monday Night Raw. During the broadcast, they walked into WWE Head of Talent Relations John Laurinaitis' office with their suitcases in hand, placed their tag team championship title belts on his desk, and walked out. They claimed they weren't respected enough as tag team champions, even though they had 8 hours to rehearse and construct their match. They claimed they were uncomfortable in the ring with two of their opponents, even though they had matches with those individuals in the past with no consequence. Monday Night Raw is a scripted live television show whose characters are expected to perform the requirements of their contract. We regret we were unable to deliver as advertised tonight's main event. So, with that statement from the WWE, work or shoot, John?
Posted?
WWE posted this.
No, on Twitter, because I'm looking at it and they have nothing on it.
Look in VC chat.
You look in the
WWE
VC chat
posted it on their actual website.
Well, yeah, website's different from social media.
Anyway, work or shoot?
I don't know. I don't see it. Wait. Oh, VC chat. Where the hell is it?
Scroll down.
Oh, okay, there it is. Yeah, so I would have to say this is a shoot because if it was a work, it would have been everywhere and people, everybody would be acting and involved with it, and them two probably would have said something.
Yeah, they have stayed pretty silent. I'll give you that.
Yeah. So I mean, here's the thing. If something like this happened and them two actually said something on social media about it, definitely will work. But when they post this as an official statement, I don't see it as a work. I mean, if they pull it off as a work, they're doing a pretty good damn job of it. But I just don't see it being a work. Not at all.
Okay. So, if this is a work, and I'll ask this question, or if this is a work or a shoot, if this is a shoot, they breached their contract, which means WWE is in line to sue them, because breach of contract, they can sue. The only other way I can see that's like a roundabout thing is if like their contracts were expiring, which we know that's not the truth, because Sasha had just re-signed right around WrestleMania time, and then Naomi re-signed last year for like a 3-year deal. So
I was gonna bump in and say real quick, like, this is not the first time someone has walked out.
Oh no, yeah,
And
I know that.
the company,
Yeah.
well, no, what I was saying is that this is not the first time that someone's walked out and the company has addressed it. Great example when it came to Neville.
Yeah.
When he walked out of the company, they addressed it. They froze his the paychecks coming in. So the only thing he had left was really merchandise sales coming through. That was it. Honestly, I thought it was a little shitty of the company to do. However, they had every right because he wasn't competing. Same thing with Punk. He actually walked out of the company, and the company, I do believe, froze the paychecks, but he was getting pretty good checks coming in from the merchandise themselves, which wasn't too bad. I mean, many other people have done the same thing. I don't see them suing.
Austin did the same thing.
Yeah.
Back in 2002, he took his ball and went home, as The Rock liked to say.
That was, I think, due to the fact that the company wanted him to wrestle Lesnar.
Yeah.
And he just left.
Well, they wanted him to put Lesnar over in a quarterfinal on a house show. Not a Raw, not a pay-per-view. They're like, you're going to lose in a house show to Lesnar. And he goes, why would you give away a pay-per-view main event at a house show and have me lose? With no build-up, no story, We're talking about when Austin lost to Lesnar, or was going to lose to Lesnar, and Austin lost.
Sorry, Maddie was talking to me.
Oh, you're good.
Well, the thing that I'm getting at here is that when it comes to this kind of stuff, is I find it odd if anyone takes it as a work, because they're not the first to do this. They're not the first to walk out. This is not the first time the company has made an official statement on someone walking out, i.e. like Neville, or I do believe Alicia Fox walked out, or she was probably fired. I can't remember.
No, she was released. No, she never walked.
Who else walked out?
So there's been a few. Tony Storm walked.
Yeah.
Stone Cold's walked. CM Punk's walked. Brett. Mick Foley walked twice. That was the big one. Mick Foley walked twice because he walked after the Montreal screw job and then was back within 2 weeks. And then he walked. Oh shit! There was a second time he walked. It was kind of a big deal, but he walked during it, and then he ended up coming back. But
the only walkout that was technically scripted was the night when Triple H became COO.
Oh yeah, they did the whole vote of confidence, and everybody walked out.
That in itself was 100% scripted. Every other walkout, it's never.
I'm not sure if you know about this, John, but that was a rehash storyline from like 1999 when Triple H and Stephanie became the owners of the WWF, and they did that same thing where everyone voted no confidence, and then The Rock's like, see, look, you are an asshole, and then this man took power back, and blah, 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 and then 10 or 15 years later, they redid it with Triple H as the COO, and...
How did you feel about that when they brought that back?
When they rehashed it? As soon as, like, I saw the build-up, I'm the guy that was like, I didn't get famous on Twitter or anything, but I like took a fucking screenshot of that, and then I went onto the network and rolled back through that shit, and was like, bro, that's rehashed, because back then the network wasn't a thing. When I was watching it live, I was all like, bro, they've already done this storyline. They've done it multiple times, but to Triple H, that's the second time. Like, and it was the exact same way. Like, the funniest part was Mike Chioda answered first both times, back in '99 and then, because like they had the referees answer first, and he's like, no confidence, because Mike Chioda's got a strangely weird, deep voice for a referee, but.
Well, I wouldn't say deep. His is just really raspy.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird because you don't expect that guy to have that kind of a voice.
I don't know. He probably has something.
But if it is a walkout, a lot of people are, of course, are going to be like, oh, Sasha and Naomi to AEW. As a businessman, though, as a guy owning a company, you gonna chance that shit happening to you? You gonna if you were Tony Khan, and this goes to you and Nate, and you see the Sasha and Naomi walk out, do you even really attempt to sign them? Like I know a part of your brain's like, bro, pick them up, piss Vince off. But the other part's like, what if that's me?
It depends on the reason of why
What
they
up,
walked
Dexter?
out.
Yeah.
It also depends on the severity behind it. I mean, there's a lot of doors to open up when it comes to that idea. How bad was it? What was the severity behind it? Like, what was really behind their minds and the company's minds when this was going on? You have to know every little detail. It's like getting a new job. When you're getting a new job and your past history, you've walked out before, they're going to want to know every single little detail about it. Why did you walk out? Like, what caused it? Did you rehash things? That sort of stuff. And that costs money to look through. And if I were Tony with AEW and that was coming towards me, and Naomi or Naomi, whatever.
What up, Dexter? What's good? What's good?
Sasha came over and they're like, hey, we want to work with you. And I'm like, okay, well, I saw this here before, so if you don't mind explaining A, B, C, D with me, and hopefully we could find out like the severity behind this, and if it's not too severe, are you out of your contracts? That sort of thing. I can't hire you if you're still under contract, but it's a huge fucking mess if they end up leaving, because that's going to cost WWE some money, and whatever promotion ends up hiring them, you don't feel comfortable in your own environment. No one feels comfortable.
So my question is actually, so let's put yourself in Mr. Vinnie Mac's shoes. You have the option, if this is real and they really walked out, you could release them, which means if they get released, they could literally go work Wednesday next week. Or you could pull the Vince McMahon thing and make them sit. Because he did that to Pac. Pac walked out and he goes, cool, sit for 9 months. And he sat him on his couch for 9 months. Continued to pay him because he had to. He was contractually obliged. If he's under contract, he has to keep getting paid.
No. And I'll tell you why he's not going to do that.
Why?
If you do it to Naomi, you risk pissing off the bloodline.
Yeah, but you gotta understand though, like,
you gotta understand, the Usos, Jimmy will stick up for his wife, and then Jay will follow his brother. It doesn't matter. Money doesn't matter to them. Family matters to them.
But you also have to understand.
The Usos will clean WWE for their money if they try to do that to Naomi.
You also have to like hold on, John. New Jack said something that hit me home today. I was watching us shoot and podcast, and New Jack said if John Cena died tomorrow, Vince McMahon would just make another one. And you got to think, he had top stars like Hogan. Then he had Rock and Austin and Taker and all them. And then he had John Cena and Randy Orton. And now he's got Roman. Along with Brock still and shit like that. New Jack's right, though. If Roman was to be like, hey, if you're going to sit here, I'm going to peace out, you don't think he wouldn't just elevate somebody else and be like, hey, you're taking Roman's spot, bud? I think he would. He would have to.
Because I don't think he can. I think if Roman leaves WWE and the Usos leave WWE, you are missing out on your greatest world champion of the past like 10 years and your greatest tag team of the past like 10 years because you're being petty against their family.
But
I
go ahead,
disagree.
John. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And I like to go ahead and say the reason why is because, I mean, Vince said it the best way he possibly could one night. When after Cena said, you know, I'll act like somebody and go to another company, brother. And Vince said to him, well, if you do and you're gone, I can always reseat something better and make a new, brighter future star better than you. And he's done it before because Rock left, here comes Cena. Stone Cold left, here comes Brock. Triple H is still in the game.
No, he's not. He's retired
Actually,
now.
yeah, I almost forgot. He is retired, but he was still in the game at the time before he retired. I mean, a lot of people had left, came and gone. Other superstars went up to the rise. And the thing of it is that whenever people say, "Oh, there'll never be another Cena, there'll never be another Rock," I disagree entirely. Like, people said that there would never be another Hulk Hogan. Look at John Cena.
I think John Cena surpassed Hogan, to be honest.
The problem with that statement is, how are you going to build someone to replace Roman when Roman buried them all along the way?
Yeah, but you also got to realize, hold on. So look how long it took them to build Roman. Like Roman Reigns, they like, and not like nothing against Roman. Roman was just doing the job he was told to do, but like they tried with Roman for a long time, and it just wasn't working. The crowd was shitting on it; they weren't taking it. And then they recreated Roman. They did this tribal chief shit, and like to Roman's credit, he's taken that ball and fucking gone away he went. But like, well, anyone can do that.
There's a problem to what you just said, Connor. The problem to that. The problem was when Roman was still on the Shield shit on his own, that was creative's doing. Roman admitted that when he came back, they were wanting him to do a heel turn. And he's like, okay. And they're like, instead of us giving you the gimmick, why don't you create one yourself? And that's why he's like, okay, let's do this tribal gimmick. And that's why they came up with Head of the Table. Every part of that stuff was all Roman's idea. And that's why he's really good at it right now. Am I afraid that they're going to drop the ball on that one day? Of course. I mean, it's not the first time they dropped the ball on something really good. But when it comes to rebuilding or planting or reseeding something to be really great, the one person I can think of that they could do this if they really saw potential in this guy, and I do see potential in him, is Gunther. I really see a lot of potential in him if they go the right route with him. I mean, we have never had a German world heavyweight champion.
Well,
never.
The only problem is he's not German.
He's Austrian.
Yeah. But I understand what you mean.
Subtle ancestry between the two. But yeah, you're right. Austrian. Never had a world heavyweight champion out of Austria. Never had a world heavyweight champion out of Germany or Hungary. But we have had our first world champion from, I do believe it was Belgium. We had our very first one, but that was hundreds of years, or 100 years ago. But that's neither here or there. But what I'm getting at is raise Gunther to be this guy that you can see being a world champion. I think he can be a world champion with the gimmick he already has now, as being the Ring General. I honestly think he would be that top guy if they could see it. Do I think they'll see it? No. Do I hope they do? Of course.
Now hold on. So we're acting like that, like Roman's gonna be like, oh, WWE, look at you, like WWE made them make that decision. Is there not like a part of you that thinks that like Roman wouldn't be like, what a selfish fucking act to just what? Because does her actions not granted we know that Roman's got pulled and the Usos got pulled because Roman literally is the biggest wrestling star on the face of the planet right now because he holds all the fucking power in the WWE and shit. As the Usos have their biggest run, Roman is having the biggest run of his career, and you hear that your family member just walked up because they weren't happy. Does that not go, you selfish fucking asshole? Because to me, I feel like that could have risked them. Because what if Vince McMahon went on his pity Vince McMahon shit and was like, oh, bro, because she walked and you're married to her, you're losing at Hell in a Cell. Roman, you're losing the strap. And he could. It's Vince. We've seen him do worse. But do you not does a part of you not think that Naomi was could be looked at as selfish for doing that? And John, I'll let you speak first. Go ahead.
I'll be honest with you about that on what you're talking about. I do think it's selfish. Number one, people have their differences when it comes to work environment. Not everything's gonna go your way. Not everything's gonna be all sunshine and flowers in the morning, but you got to push through it. However, their decision, I believe, is selfish. This is coming from a guy living paycheck to paycheck, and I'm sure with every other viewer out there, they're feeling the same way. And if a family member of mine was in the same company and they ended up walking out and they looked at me and they're like, John, family, and I would be like, but bills we have to pay, food we got to keep on the table, no pun intended. Got to keep the electricity going on.
Head of the table, tribal chief. So I'm wearing the t-shirt. I got to mark out a little bit.
We have to keep the money going. And with you guys over there saying, come on, it's all about the family. Yeah, fuck that. If my family walked out and the company was still up high on me and they're wanting to keep me and I was doing a good job and I loved my job, I wouldn't leave the company because my family left. I'm like, well, okay, that's your all's loss. Go find another job. I'm still sticking here because I have bills to pay. That sort of thing. So it's like what my dad had told me before. Just because family leaves a certain thing and you're in that job doesn't necessarily mean you have to leave. If you're still doing a good job and you love your job and they're like, I don't know, I didn't feel really safe in this. Oh, well.
Well, see, and also, so this kind of brings me back to this question, but Nate, before you answer, so if you guys remember correctly, back when Jimmy got arrested for that 90th DUI he's gotten, they did the whole Jay and Roman thing, where Jay and Roman were fighting, and Jay became main event Jey Uso. I feel like they were already grooming Jay because they were getting ready for Jimmy to get released. And it's one of those things where if Jimmy was fixing to get the boot, and they were like, oh well, fuck him, he's gone, Jay. Hey, you're gonna be a single star, and Jay's like, fuck, I guess, here we go. And granted, he did a really good job with it. I think the Usos and Roman would be just fine if that bitch did not have a job come Monday.
Yeah, and that's something I can agree with because, if you think about it...
I don't hope that's the case, by the way. For anybody listening to that, and they're going to, edit this and twist that. I'm not hoping Naomi doesn't have a job come Monday, but I just don't think that the family aspect's going to come into play like John said.
No.
I think it's more she was being selfish. Now, hold on, John. Hold on. So, Nate, I'm going to give you your chance to answer this. Do you think that the Bloodline and the WWE could look at it like Naomi was being selfish and blah, blah, blah?
The thing about it is, right, it could be seen as selfish because I don't know if Naomi talked to any of the family about it beforehand. Maybe she talked to the Usos, maybe she talked to Roman. Who knows? We don't know that. We're not in their personal life.
Yeah.
The thing is, from a business aspect, I get where she's coming from because she's being, and I'll just be straight up, Naomi, though I don't like her as a performer, is being treated like shit.
How?
She's being treated like shit because the women's tag titles have never meant a fucking thing in the WWE.
But still,
and
you gotta
don't try
realize...
to, it's like a compensation award. oh, we're not going to push you to the world title. Here, you can have the tag titles. It's what they did with the Iconics. It's what they did with Sasha and Bayley until they were like, hey, you know what? Bayley, you're actually showing us something, so you're going to win a title while Sasha Banks just sits there on your coattails. That's what they... Sasha, I understand. Sasha, I completely understand. I think she should leave the WWE. I've thought that for years. But back to the topic at hand, is it a smart business move for Naomi to make? No. Naomi is fucking... it's selfish as shit, and it's fucking stupid to put if you haven't talked to your family, to put your husband's job on the line like that.
Your husbands, your cousins, like
Jimmy. Yeah, but Jimmy can get fired because, and they can rehash it as, oh, he got fired because he has alcohol problems. Jimmy can get fired. Jay's had a few DUIs, but he also had a monumental feud with Roman. Fucking one of the best of his reign,
and he's kept his nose clean for a long time.
Roman Reigns is the fucking top dog. You're not gonna fire Roman Reigns because somebody's like, she threw a pissy fit. It's what she did. And I know I'm kind of backtracking on myself here, but the more you guys talked, the more I thought about it. And Naomi threw a pissy fit because she wasn't where she wanted to be.
Well, hold on. The question I asked was, do you think that, like, if it is selfish, that if Vince McMahon was to be petty, like we've seen Vince do in the past, because you say he's not gonna fire Roman. The question was, what if? Like, if he was to just go out, if he showed up Monday, it was like, Roman, Jimmy, Jay, Solo, because I don't remember his actual name, you're gone.
Yeah.
And, like, that's not his actual name, but...
No, but...
Yeah, I don't remember his actual name.
Jimmy and Jay, that's not their names either.
I thought they were really Jimmy Fatu and Jay Fatu. Are they not really?
No, it's Jonathan.
Oh,
it's
okay.
Jonathan Fatu.
Anyway.
One of them is. I don't know.
Still,
the thing is, if they do that, they are the stupidest motherfuckers alive. Because if you don't think Roman, Jimmy, and Jay will go to AEW...
I think Roman would go Hollywood.
I think Roman and Jimmy and Jay would do one match in AEW. And that would be the Forbidden Door, Roman, Jimmy, and Jay versus Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, and Hikuleo.
I don't know.
The 3v3. Because Hikuleo... Or GOD versus the Usos.
That I believe, but I don't see... And here's why...
Roman Reigns can have a big market match in...
No, I'm not saying he can't. I'm not saying he can't.
Hell.
But, like, I'm saying if he gets fired on Monday because of Naomi, and pray to God that doesn't happen, I don't think he goes to AEW, and here's why. All right? Let's be real here. Vince McMahon is paying him a lot of money.
Yeah, but also Turner
Hold on.
Broadcasting has offered him double it.
I completely understand. I've seen the same rumors, but let's be real here. You're telling me if like, let's say he gets fired on Monday, he goes and has a blockbuster movie, puts up Rock numbers. He doesn't go, fuck pro wrestling, guy. Like, Rock was smart. Fuck this shit.
Oh, yeah.
And bounce out to all, because you'll make more money in Hollywood.
That's 100% going to happen. I just think Roman's going to have one final stick it to Vince move. Because if Vince is petty... Know. Yeah, but, okay, see...
Because Rock never did that. Rock could have done that, and he never did.
If you look at Roman, though, look at what Roman's done. Roman spent 10 years on the main roster building himself just for Vince to be like, get the fuck out of here. The Rock wasn't even with the WWE for that long.
The Rock was in the WWE for a long time, bud.
No, AJ Styles' run has been longer than The Rock's on-screen time.
Yeah, on screen, WWE. But like The Rock started in like 93.
And AJ Styles has only been with the WWE since 2016. That means 6 years.
Yeah.
Roman's been there for 10, and AJ Styles has been there for 6, and The Rock was there for less than 6 years.
I mean, I don't think that Vince McMahon would do that, and like it's kind of like a waiting game to see. But if it is a work, I will be straight up shocked.
If it's a work, bro, WWE caught everyone's attention.
Oh,
WWE
yeah.
played us like fucking fiddles, and Sasha Banks is gonna fucking skyrocket, or she's gonna get shit on. Either one. But the
You
thing
also gotta
is,
realize,
right,
like, you said something earlier that the tag titles don't matter.
the women's tag titles.
Yeah, name, like, one other team besides, like, Rhea and Liv when they were partnering. Like, name a team that is together right now. That
Still
is
the Iconics.
decent in WWE.
Yeah.
Together right now. That could touch Sasha and Naomi and be good, if not better, tag team champions. I don't even know that there's another team. Because Queen Zelina and Carmella broke up. Liv and Rhea broke up.
Natty and Baszler are still together.
Natty and Baszler are still together. But let's be real. Natty and Baszler outshining Naomi and Sasha. The best thing Shayna ever did was tag with Nia Jax. That was a good team.
They could slap together a tag team, though.
They could, but that wasn't my question. I said an active tag team.
Toxic Attraction.
That's on the main roster.
Yeah, you didn't say main roster, though.
You're right. I did say to Toxic Attraction would be a good one. I'll give you that one. Toxic Attraction would be a good one. But, like...
if they called up Io Shirai, but that's, again, if they call up. Oh, man.
I mean, obviously they would have to if they lose. I'm not going to lie. Sasha and Naomi are two big stars in the women's division because, look what Sasha's done.
Sasha's a really big name.
And then Naomi is a big name for what she has done because Naomi, I honestly, and no one wants to really have this conversation, Naomi and Cameron kicked open the door for the women's tag team thing. Because, like, they were a decent tag team. As bad as Cameron sucked, and Naomi was there to, like, pick up the slack.
You're missing out on two different tag teams that
I
would
said
very
one of the
much argue
teams.
that.
And the Bella Twins are up there. The Bella Twins, obviously.
Twins and Lay Cool.
Yeah, Lay Cool, yeah. But I'm saying, like...
Lay Cool kicked open the door for that.
But what I'm saying was, like, from what Naomi has done, Naomi did pioneer some shit, like, with that run. And she won the women's title, the SmackDown women's title, and actually had a pretty good run with it. A decent run, had some good matches and shit. So Naomi is a big star. So if both of them walk, like, yeah, they would lose some star power. And I think they would need to call up or rearrange some shit. But
they would 100% lose some star power because they'd be losing one of the 4 horsewomen of the WWE.
Yeah, but I mean,
whether you want to admit Sasha is or not, Sasha is.
She is.
But they could easily push someone else into that spot.
That's what I'm saying. It's the same thing.
Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan. Liv's. Liv is scarily loyal to the WWE.
I think that's gonna be a big one that comes up. We're gonna get to that, but
yeah,
I think it's one of those things where, like, there's a lot of what ifs. The only reason why I think it's a work is because they mentioned it a lot during the show. When Punk walked, they didn't mention it for a while.
Jeff Hardy walked, they didn't mention it.
Jeff Hardy walked, they didn't mention it at all.
Tony Storm quit, they didn't mention
it.
No,
they did. NXT mentioned that.
Yeah,
they're like, well, Tony Storm's no longer with the company, so we're going to have to move on without her. We do wish her the best, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, and, like, when Stone Cold left, no one talked about it until The Rock, like, cut a promo on Raw one night because they don't script The Rock's promo, so he says whatever he feels like. And then so on and so forth. There's been a lot of people that, especially like when Asuka came out and you looked at Asuka's nameplate and it said Empress of Tomorrow, first Grand Slam or a Grand Slam champion, and then did not walk out tonight. I was like, I think that, and if it is a work again, like they bamboozled a lot of people because they got the buzz they wanted. They got people talking. But then, like, I also think they made people watch the other show. Because we heard about the Joker for the women's tournament. Obviously wasn't who we thought it was going to be. But, like, I'm telling you, a lot of people tuned in just for the thought that it could have been one of them. And, like, that hurts WWE, but also, if you think about it in the long run, that helps WWE because a lot of people have said it best. Vince McMahon performs best when there's competition.
One more thing. To argue a point earlier, if you think Sasha Banks can't afford to pay off her contract and go wrestle somewhere else, you are fucking insane.
That's if they allow that to happen, though.
Yeah, but Sasha will get into a lawsuit with the WWE then.
Yeah,
and if you
but
think she won't align with Snoop Dogg for that lawsuit,
well, no, I'm not saying they won't, but you don't think WWE wouldn't drag that shit out as long as they could?
oh, they will.
That's what I'm saying.
That'll probably be like a year-long lawsuit.
If not longer, bro, because they could drag that shit out almost until the end of her contract. Go, you know what? Fine, pay us, and here you go. And
We'll pay the court fees. We just paid $20,000 to release you from a 3-year contract.
Exactly, like fucking Vince McMahon would be like, hey, dog, like you bought into it, not me. Because like
that is true. I didn't actually really think about that part.
yeah, dude, and Vince McMahon is, Sting said it best, one of the best chess players in the business, man. Every time you think that guy got him checkmated, like he's
also to say it from one of the best. I think this is a direct quote from the late great Scott Hall. Vince is one of the smartest businessmen because he's one of the most ruthless businessmen.
And he's
He
also
let Razor Ramon walk at the top of his fucking peak because he knew that somebody could replace him.
It wasn't just that, like apparently Vince had said back in the day, along with Paul Heyman, Vince is all like, they'll kill themselves. And WCW did just that. Granted, yeah, Madison Square Garden, the night they go to leave, the crowd's like, please don't go. Please don't go. And Scott Hall goes, you tell him to pay me more and I'll stay right here. And Vince is like, nah. See you down the road, Captain. And guess what happened?
He saw him down the
road. Within 5
road.
years, he saw him down the road. Was like, welcome back, champ. Like,
was that 2003?
2001.
That they got drafted?
2001 is when they came back.
Yeah, because they got drafted in the draft by
Vince.
Flair.
No, it was Vince.
Was it Vince?
Because that was it was before the draft. It was before they did all that. And Vince goes, I'm gonna inject a lethal dose of the NWO.
That was 2000. Yeah, that was like, God, that was when SmackDown was just starting too.
Bro, I know.
That was when SmackDown was just starting, and what a way to fucking kick that off.
But like, also, like, it's also one of those things you have to think about. Like, Vince McMahon is a very successful businessman, and like when it comes to like e-fighting, he's always been like one of the biggest like inspirations because like just like Vince, I listen to people say like, hey man, you let this guy walk, the RW's gonna fold. You let this guy you let this company do this, the RW's gonna fold. Guess what, motherfucker? It's 2022 and I've outlived everybody. I've watched them all come and go. No one's killed me yet, unfortunately. But like, it's one of those things where like WWE has the stars, and the potential stars to replace stars if they decide to walk or they decide to not renew and stuff like that. Like, honestly, I think that's why they're grooming a lot of the guys they're grooming now, is because they're getting ready for that shift of the generation. And, you know, a lot of people...
Yeah, they're getting ready for a fucking clean sweep of that roster.
Triple H was quoted in 2002 by saying, a special young man had nothing to offer the business, and he was going to go absolutely nowhere. Do you know who that young man turned out to be?
CM Punk?
John fucking Cena. He said back in the day, John Cena had nothing to offer the company. Nothing to offer the business. He was going to be a nobody. Turns out to be the greatest, I'll say it, the greatest of all time. And, like, sometimes they're wrong. Sometimes they're right. Some people are overhyped. Shane Douglas, overhyped as shit back in the day. And shit like that. But, like, I think this whole Sasha thing and Naomi, if it is a shoot, there's a lot of things that could go good and a lot that could go bad. And if it's a work, bravo, Vinnie Mac, bravo. You got the job done again. But the podcast rolls on. We've talked about the Sasha thing. We talked about the AEW recap, Mr. Johnny Elite, and everything like that. So with that, we were talking about WWE and AEW. So now, John, I will ask you. AEW as a company is about to have their 3rd anniversary. WWE's been around longer than me and you've been alive, longer than my dad's been around, longer than my mom's been around because she played with dirt as a child. Dirt played with her, actually. AEW versus WWE. And when I ask this question, I don't want to hear about the better wrestlers, the better product, blah, blah, blah. I want to hear the business answers. This question is, who do you think is the better company when it comes to money, business, and revenue? Go.
That's a good question.
Here, while you think on that, I'll answer. And here's my answer. WWE versus AEW, I'm going to tell you right now. WWE is the better company, and it comes down to just a few simple statements. WWE has survived things that no other company could or will ever survive. There was, in the 80s, there was a pandemic that arose thanks to Hulk Hogan, where Hogan tried to shut Vince McMahon down because he was forcing wrestlers to use steroids. Sued him. There was multiple wrestlers involved in that lawsuit, but Hogan was like the big name that was involved. Testified against Vinnie Mac. Almost shut him down. Vince McMahon won. Survived it. The WWF versus the World Wildlife Foundation. Almost put him out of business. Survived it. The WCW Monday Night War thing. Survived it. The multiple tragedies that have happened in the WWE. Owen Hart. Fucking the Montreal Screwjob. Chris Benoit. Eddie Guerrero. Test. So on and so forth. Wrestlers doing horrible shit. Making the business look bad. More than 9 times out of 10 they were working for the E when it happened. Just shit that normal companies would fold on. WWE survived. And because of that, WWE has always had the money to do whatever the hell they want. They're the largest wrestling promotion in the world because Japan, India, Saudi, all the other countries, and let alone America. They are a global, worldwide company, and they're not even privately owned. They're publicly traded. I think they're the only pro wrestling company that has ever done that. I think they're the only wrestling company that has ever went to fucking Wall Street. And still survived. Hell, thrived. Because they did that in the middle of the Attitude Era. And which is arguably one of the greatest eras. So
I have my answer.
Go ahead.
And I like to explain it after I answer it. I do agree that it is WWE. Main reason why is because WWE is technically still the only company, or the only wrestling or sports entertainment company, to not pay federal taxes on superstars.
Just because
every other company. Well, no, it's not even that. It's due to the fact that wrestlers like AEW and other organizations out there,
what is that thing in their contract?
They are union workers.
Yeah.
However,
independent contractors is the term. Yeah.
Yes, they are union workers, so they have to be federally taxed. However, WWE does not consider any of its employees or its superstars, if you will, union workers, even though they technically are, even by their schedule, of course. They do
300 nights a year.
They do not have to pay federal taxes to support their superstars. Matter of fact, their superstars are on their own to do the federal taxes themselves. But WWE does not have to, which is why Vince is a billionaire. And the thing of it is that most people would say, well, hold on here, doesn't Vince pay taxes? No. He's exempt from them because of the company. So that's why they don't treat it as a union. Therefore, WWE technically is still the better company because they have partnership deals throughout the world, especially Saudi Arabia. Matter of fact, they're the only sports entertainment group to have a deal through Saudi Arabia. However, if I'm correct, WCW is the only promotion that has ever went to North Korea. No other promotion has ever went there. Just a little FYI. But just to say, WWE is the better man out of that. However, do I think that AEW will eventually catch up to that and not consider union workers? No. And the reason why is because they make more money off of the union workers going out to other independent promotional events and such. That's how they make their money. If WWE did that, they would have to owe federal tax on that. And they're smart not to do that. So WWE is a better company.
All right, Nate, your answer.
The thing is, right, Vince McMahon has gone against a billionaire who thought he could do wrestling before. He went against Ted Turner. Ted Turner is the owner of two of the biggest cable television television providers in the entire world, in the entire United States, more or so.
He also is responsible for two of the longest weekly running episodic TV shows, weekly anyway, in television history. The only other show that even tops it is that it doesn't even top it is in like the line with it is The Simpsons and Days of Our Lives. And Days of Our Lives is daily, not weekly.
Yep.
So Raw and SmackDown are home to two of the longest weekly running episodic TV shows in television history. Keep going, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and the thing is, right, the thing with all of that is, there is men who have tried and men who have failed. There's women who have tried and women who have failed to fight Vince. Dixie and her father's money. Ted Turner, Paul Heyman. They've all tried and they've all failed. This could arguably be Vince's biggest competition. Do I think it's as big as
Since Ted
WCW?
Turner.
Not yet. Do I think it's as big as WCW? Not yet. Not yet, no. And AEW fans, you can come for my throat. I don't care. Twitch.tv/NateKingGame if you want to come at my throat.
I'll be right back
But-
and get some water.
You're good.
Alright.
Now,
Shahid and Tony know what they're doing. That's why they're billionaires. Shahid actually has more net worth than Vince McMahon, which is fucking crazy. But that's also because he's got other business ventures.
Vince McMahon only focuses on...
Vince has the WWE.
And he's branched out.
Tony has everywhere else, but not just AEW. So Vince is going to treat WWE like it's everything, because it is. Vince McMahon has stated publicly, this is everything he has. This is his family's legacy. This is his family's blood that pumps through this company.
Now,
yeah,
like,
Paul Heyman said
and also, like, you also got to think, though, like, and I've heard this from several interviews I've seen and several reports I've read, everyone has said Vince McMahon has the craziest work ethic they've ever seen. He literally does not stop working. The only time he's not working is when he's at the gym, which is insane for the age he is and the shape that he's in. Because he's literally, I don't think he's that much younger than Ric Flair. And him and Flair are in insane shape. And, like...
Flair is not in insane shape.
For his age, yes, he is. For Ric Flair's
seen him
age.
recently?
Yeah, recently, yeah. Have you seen the pictures with him training with Jay Lethal? The dude's in insane shape.
Also, crazy thing, Vince is older than Flair.
That's insane.
Vince is 76 years old. He'll be 77 this year.
That is insane. So again, yeah, 77 years old. My grandmother is in her 70s and not in as great shape as Vince McMahon. Granted, she's in phenomenal shape. Grandma, if you hear this, do not scalp me. But Vince McMahon is in insane shape. Insane shape for his age. But
And he works out at 3 a.m.
Yeah, fucking insane. Stupid. But, like, and unlike Shahid and Tony, who do have other business ventures, the only thing I can say is when it comes to being a businessman and doing that aspect of venturing out, they're more successful than Vince, because Vince has tried and failed. He's tried twice with the XFL. He tried with, they had the WWE studios, and yeah, they have their hands in, like, a lot of shit, but, like, pro wrestling is the only thing he's ever been successful at. Like, super successful. The XFL was good, but it cost him a lot of money because he couldn't separate the pro wrestling from XFL. And then this time around, COVID, and then he sold it to The Rock and things like that. But, like, so that's the only thing I'll say that Shahid and Tony have over Vince is the fact they've been successful to Vince around.
Vince
I
McMahon.
wanted to correct you about the XFL as soon as Nate's done.
Vince McMahon, by the way, for everyone saying, oh, when you get old, you're fragile. At the age of 75, did a leg press with 22 45-pound plates. I don't know if you know how much that is. That is 990 pounds.
That is insane. Vince McMahon is the alpha male of our species.
He's not human. That's what he is.
If an alien spacecraft comes down tomorrow and says, send your best fighter, we are sending Vince McMahon. We are sending Vince McMahon because he will either kill them or die trying.
He will say, aliens, I don't care where you're from. Yeah, fired.
Make me money.
Make me money.
He'll put it on pay-per-view.
The thing that
Brock Lesnar versus Rolgar.
the thing that I wanted to mention real quick when you were talking about the XFL.
Yeah.
Technically, Vince never sold the XFL to The Rock.
Yeah, he sold Alpha Entertainment. Because that was the owner of XFL, because it was Vince's company, Alpha Entertainment, and then he sold it to a woman who, like, co-owns it with The Rock.
Well, no. So essentially, this is how it worked. Vince McMahon had nothing to do with it being sold. That's the first thing. The second thing was that Alpha Entertainment, whatever they were called,
Alpha Entertainment,
they were the ones behind it. However, it was sold to I forgot the name. It's Red something. It's some kind of company in entertainment aspect.
Yeah, and it's owned by The Rock's ex-wife.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is owned by her. However, she did leave The Rock in charge with certain things when it comes to the XFL.
He is the COO, as Triple H liked to put it.
Now, the one thing I did hear while I was downstairs fixing myself to drink, obviously I can hear with Bluetooth headset, of course, was that you guys had said something about Vince's ethic.
Yeah.
Something about that of how he works now since he's in his higher 70s, of course.
Still crazy work ethic. Work ethic.
What? Well, hold on here. He actually admitted this on the Pat McAfee show. He's actually lessen up his hours now. About maybe 2-3 times a week. He'll work for 3 hours, and after that, he's gone. He's just at home enjoying life. And then during the weekends, phone's off. He's enjoying that.
But also
enjoying that with the grandkids.
Like the thing that sets Vince apart, unlike Tony Khan, because Tony's doing the same thing that Vince does. And Road Dogg has said this. Kevin, Scott, Hunter, Sean, everyone. The thing that set him apart from Ted Turner was when you walked through Gorilla, you weren't just looking at producers and creative. The guy sitting there was fucking Vince. So you immediately reported to Vince. You walked through that door, or you walked through that curtain, the owner was sitting there. The be-all, end-all was sitting there. And, granted, that does put an immense amount of pressure on the talent, but I think that made everybody in the E better. Because, look, WCW is a prime example of why you should be hands-on. Ted Turner gave Eric Bischoff basically control of WCW. Said, hey, run this for me. I'm going to own it. Here's the money. Do with it. Then Then Eric Bischoff moved out of not Titan Towers, because it's Vince's thing. Moved out of the CNN Center, got a little like Metroplex thing in Atlanta, and like ran WCW out of that. And if you look at Kevin Nash's YouTube, he talks about this on kayfabe commentaries on YouTube. He literally said at that point, when Eric Bischoff had all that leniency and Ted Turner never cared, they were losing more money than what they were making. As soon as they were making it was going out the door.
I have an interesting fact about that. So when we were talking about the difference between WCW and WWE, it was that there was a point in time that Ted Turner took Vince and WWE to court. I forgot what the reason was for, though. However,
it was the parody. It was the parody they did.
Yeah. So he was saying that they were kind of doing something that WCW was doing. And Vince kept saying, "You're not in the business that I'm in." And he kept warning him about that right before the judge came in. Matter of fact, this is said on the McMahon documentary, which was sold with a copy of WrestleMania 22 on DVD. But Vince told him several times right before they walked in, and Ted's like, "So you ready to lose to me?" And he's like, "How can I lose to somebody that's not even in the same business that I'm in?"
Yeah,
and
well,
he's like,
because
he's like, "What are you talking about?" He said, "You are professional wrestling.
I am sports entertainment."
Yeah, how can we have this battle when our businesses are different? So later on, after hours of the proceedings that were taking place, the judge had agreed that, "Ted, you have no standing ground. You are professional wrestling. He is sports entertainment. You have to pay federal taxes, like I said previously, on your wrestlers. He does not, because they're not union workers."
And also something else I've heard a lot. I've heard it from Bully Ray, Billy Gunn, stuff like that.
I got something after that.
The thing that sets the apart from everybody else is first of all, what Bully said was, a lot of people sit there and they say they want pro wrestling. They're lying through their teeth, because no one is going to sit there for 4 hours and watch two guys have 5 30-minute wars in one night with no segment, no nothing to build it, just them wrestling. There's nothing to build there. And then he goes, "But meanwhile, you'll go watch me come out with a promo, say I'm going to kick your ass later tonight, and then in the middle of the night, me and you get into another squabble, and at the end you finally get your hands on me." That's television. That's entertaining. Granted, there's a time and place for pro wrestling, but there's a time and place for sports entertainment. And then Billy Gunn kind of added to that statement, and he said, people are so serious about their pro wrestling, sometimes they forget that it's also entertainment, that we are here to entertain people. So gimmicks like the Ass Boys, Danhausen, Orange Cassidy, Nikki ASH, the Hurricane, Goldust, comedy characters like that, entertaining characters, Elias, shit like that. Like, that's why they always stand the test of time, because like they entertained you. Because like, tell me that you remember Doink the Clown for having a 5-star match ever. No, you don't, because you remember how funny his character was and just how off the fucking wall and wild it was. Elias never had a 5-star match, but Elias was entertaining. Goldust, though I'll say Piper and Goldust was pretty close to a 5-star match at that Hollywood street fight they had. But you know, I think that's what a lot of people forget, because like AEW is a really good professional wrestling company, and they do have really good characters like Danhausen, Orange Cassidy, the Ass Boys, and shit like that. But people shit on them, like the Ass Boys. People hate them because they're like, you got the Ass Boys going against the Young Bucks. Like, the Young Bucks are going to kill them. Yeah, but the Ass Boys are going to entertain you for the 15 minutes that's happening, because that's their gimmick. And like, what a lot of people like need to realize is it's not WrestleMania every night of the year. Wrestlers that go out and they wrestle like it's WrestleMania every night of the year get hurt. They do something stupid. They shorten their career. While guys like, for instance, Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins does not have a 5-star match every time he walks out that curtain. But when it's time, he turns that motherfucker up a notch. Like every time him and Cody have clashed, the WrestleMania match, though they hadn't touched in 7 years, was great. The match at Backlash, pretty good. They turned it up. But Rollins' match with Kevin Owens leading up to WrestleMania was all right. Match with AJ was even better. Gets to WrestleMania, has a great match. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's a time and place to like turn shit up and be really good professional wrestlers, but the WWE has always set themselves apart because they're not just professional wrestling. They are sports entertainment. They give you the professional wrestling aspect, but at the same time, they also entertain you, which is why I think they've been around for as long as they've been around and survived things that other companies simply have not. Granted, WCW tried with their off-the-wall characters, cough, cough, Kiss Demon, but they failed. Because, hey, I liked the Kiss Demon, all right? I liked him.
Don't you dare sit there and shit-talk Dale Torborg. Dale Torborg was a fucking great worker. He was just handed a shitty gimmick, and I'll just be honest with you. If you don't know this, now you know. It was not WCW's idea. Dale Torborg was a marketing ploy by Kiss, because Kiss went to WCW, and they were like, hey, we're going to be doing a huge tour this year. How much would we have to pay you to get a car? Or not a car, because WCW did a car and NASCAR. That's what I was thinking of. How much would we have to pay you to get a show, or to get a wrestler on the show? And WCW was fucking in desperate need of money at that point. So yeah, fuck it.
I never understood why WCW never did what UFC did. Because they had all they were like always doing shit with Harley Davidson. Why didn't they do what UFC did and partner up with them and be like, hey, pay this much amount of money, put the show on, we'll put your logo everywhere. UFC literally had that shit in the middle of the octagon for years.
That is true.
And
that is true.
And like NASCAR, bro. They could have partnered. I mean, they did partner with NASCAR because they did the NWO car for like half a season. But still.
They also had a WCW Thunder car.
Yeah, that's when they were bringing out Thunder as a TV show.
It was like DDP. I think DDP was on it.
Yeah, it was something that was crazy. Yeah, I remember that because my mom was geeking out.
It's
a big NASCAR fan.
Another thing is most people don't know this unless you're a true wrestling historian. WCW was not supposed to close. WCW, Ted Turner was going to sell WCW to Eric Bischoff.
Yeah.
Do you know the reason why Eric Bischoff didn't buy it?
Because he had a deal with like FX and shit lined up too.
No, the reason he didn't is because no other television company would air it.
No.
Ted Turner. It was revealed. Ted Turner, Eric Bischoff revealed this himself.
No.
Ted Turner threatened to sue other cable companies if they broadcasted it.
Yeah, that's why. So if you listen to his 83 Weeks podcast, I literally just watched this episode the other day, and he even talks about it in his Eric Bischoff documentary on Peacock. He had a deal with FX lined up. Ted Turner actually pulled from the deal and sold it to Vince. That's why that happened. Eric Bischoff was going to run with it. Vince McMahon just offered more money. But, I mean, the TV deal thing is true. He literally told Eric Bischoff, he's like, good luck getting a TV deal because I will stop it. Well, then now, look where we're at now. AEW literally airs on TNT, which is like one of the main reasons I watch AEW. I'm a huge WCW mark for anybody that knows me. And when AEW announced they're going to be on TNT, I was like, bro, WCW again, let's go. But
I just want a wrestling company on Spike again.
Yeah, TNA was really good. Hey, speaking of that, let's do something that we like to do every podcast. This is the time where we do the top 10s.
Oh, boy.
Before we close it out.
When the fuck did we do the top 10s?
We did it last
week.
The greatest tag teams.
After you went to bed.
Yeah. Oh. We did the greatest tag teams and stuff last week. So, John, did you watch TNA ever?
Yes.
All right. So, top 10 TNA wrestlers and this can be your greatest TNA wrestler of all time list or whatever. The top 10 guys, when you hear TNA, your top 10, and I'll go first. Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt, Chris Sabin, Alex Shelley, AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Sting, Kurt Angle, Christian Cage, and Samoa Joe.
Okay. John, your turn.
Ron Killings.
Oh.
Oh.
Who else?
The fact that
Gonna go-
Ron the Truth Killings came out first is like the scariest part. That makes me happy.
Let's see. The Flying Elvises.
Oh, I forgot about those guys. Yeah, that was 3, so you're up to 4 now.
Voodoo Kin Mafia.
You know, I'm going to bring up something about them in a minute after Nate puts the top 10 up. You got 4 more.
Does he? Because isn't Voodoo Kin Mafia wasn't
It was
Truth
just,
and
no,
Voodoo
that
Kin?
was Billy
Oh, it's
Gunn
3
and
Live
Road
Crew.
Dogg.
It's 3 Live Crew.
Yeah.
My bad.
I'm trying to think of somebody
My bad.
else that was in it at one point. I'll go with AJ Styles as well. I mean, it was the first one in there to be signed.
One of the biggest stars. You got 3 more?
James Storm.
All right, 2 more.
Shark Boy.
Yeah! Shark Boy! I'll tell you that why in a minute. I love Shark Boy. I love Shark Boy. That's one. You got 1 more. You got 1 more.
I'm trying to really make this one count, too.
I'm a little bit upset at both of you because both of you got 1 person so far.
So far.
You got 1. When
If John
you hear
can
TNA,
use his last spot on 1 person, I'm gonna be upset.
when you hear TNA, who you think?
I mean, there's a lot of names popping up. I'm just trying to think of a really good one, someone that you guys would never hear come out of my mouth.
How about someone that epitomizes TNA
AJ Styles?
instead of
Ooh,
Instead of
Hernandez.
Hernandez. Yeah, that was a good one. Let's go. All right, Nate, what's your top 10?
I'm a little bit upset. Y'all
Give me your
forgot
top 10, Nate.
Eric Young,
Oh, that's a good one.
Abyss,
Yep,
AJ Styles,
of course.
Samoa Joe,
Of course.
Bobby Roode,
Yep,
James Storm,
of course.
Wildcat Chris Harris.
Of course. Big part of the early days.
Oh boy, Jeff Jarrett.
Of course, he was the founder.
Whether you wanna admit it or not, that good old JRETT was great.
You got 2 more.
Oh boy. You wanna know what? I'm gonna use one. Somebody that yeah, fucking Gail Kim.
Okay. Yeah, was a big part of the women's division.
And I'm trying to pick my last one to be someone that's not associated with like 5 other companies. Somebody
luck.
that was
Good luck. Monty Brown.
Monty
Yeah, okay.
Brown.
So,
Monty Brown.
earlier, I was
My
watching
boys.
some videos about TNA. I was getting ready for this because we're going to have TNA hot takes. And then this is one of them. So back...
Also Raven.
Yeah, well, Raven's an honorable mention because it was a big part of TNA. So I was watching this. I think this is like around the time of like 2006, 2007. And you said Voodoo Kin Mafia, so obviously you're going to know about what I'm talking about. So BG James and Kip James came in and they did the James Gang thing. Then they cut this scathing-ass promo where they go, TNA, you dropped the ball again. You can take your little TNA hats, wipe your ass with it, because you have seen the last of the James Gang. And they walk. They're gone for 2 weeks. Then they come back as the Voodoo Kin Mafia, and they make the $1 Million Challenge to Paul Levesque and Michael Hickenbottom. For those of you who don't know, that is the real-life names of Triple H and Shawn Michaels, because at this time in history, Shawn and Hunter were doing the DX reunion thing. They came back as DX, and they had the war with the McMahons. They were drawing cocks and stuff all over his jet and taking over the mic, and Vince was saying, "I like cocks." He's like, "Damn, that's not me." And it was fucking hilarious. It was,
you think this is funny?
Yeah, I love that shit. This shit's so good. But BG and Kip were like pissed about it because they're like, and they tell this story and it hits home, man, because I didn't even think about this. He literally said, "I'm gonna take you out. I'm gonna take you down memory lane." Back a few years ago, 2-0 happening. Scallywags couldn't get themselves over, so they hired me and Kipper to do the jobs for them, because that's when they did the big DX thing where it was Shawn, Hunter, New Age Outlaws, X-Pac, China, God rest her soul. And then he goes, and then at some point, people started to see through your bullshit and realized that we were the real world champions. You couldn't fool them anymore, could you, boys? And they go on this like month-long thing where they continue to call out Shawn and Hunter, trying to get them to fight. And then JR calls them and goes, "Look, Vince really doesn't give a shit about what you have to say." As a professional, I want to know before, like, because I'm pretty sure you heard about what they had to say about it later. Could you imagine, John, being a professional wrestler, a sports entertainer, going out there and something that you built decades ago comes back and you're not a part of it, and you start calling these motherfuckers out? Just have that company call and go, "Hey, bro, we really don't give a fuck about what you have to say." Like, would that not hurt? Like,
Probably a little bit. Well, not really, because I mean, if they're like telling me that would at least tell me, well, hey, they at least acknowledged that I did that.
Yeah, they at least know that I did it. Like, well, see, my thing was like, and they were good. They were good fucking promos on behalf of VKM. I loved that shit. Cause like, granted, there was no payoff, so it was a waste of TV time. Like, honestly, it took away from somebody else that could have been doing something and actually building TNA instead of talking about the other company. But, like, they weren't doing anything else with VKM. They weren't getting tag title shots. They weren't becoming anything. Like, and Road Dogg and Billy Gunn had talked about it later, and they're like, "Yeah, bro, like, TNA really had nothing for us." They literally were like, "Hey, go rehash the New Age Outlaw thing." And they're like, "All right, but we're going to do it our way."
I have a question to ask you.
Yeah.
Do you know why I randomly said the Flying Elvises?
Why?
Because I have the very first ever TNA NWA pay-per-view taping that was given to me for free.
No shit.
Yes.
I remember watching that shit, yeah.
They came out, and like, I sold my VCR.
Yeah,
this
well,
is
yeah.
years ago. So I was watching it for the very first time, and so essentially a buddy of mine named Nolan, he was in the 12th grade, and I had hit the 9th grade, and then after graduation, which he graduated years later, or earlier, whatever the case is, he was trying to find buyers for this huge collection of VHSs, which I literally have them in the room below me in the closet area. So what had happened was he came to me and he's like, "Hey, I'm willing to sell you these VHS tapes. No one's willing to get them off me." And I told him, I said, "If I had the money, I'd definitely buy them off of you." He's like, "Well, I'll tell you what, I need to get them out of the house anyway. How about I give them to you for free? Just tell me where you live." So I did that. He gives them to me. And the very first tape I watched was TNA NWA. And they weren't the first people to come out that I know of, but when I saw them coming out, I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. I love the whole spectacle about it. The only thing I didn't really care for, which I guess to them hit like hardcore extreme kind of thing, was the fact that they had erotic dancers in these little spherical cages.
Oh yeah, when they had the porn stars and supermodels dancing. Yeah, I remember that shit. That was like a big thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I saw that, I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? And like every time they had to go to like a promo break or something, the camera would just always be kind of moving.
Did you ever hear
why?
While
they're dancing.
Do you know why that was a thing?
I have
Vince
no
Russo,
idea.
bro.
Vince Russo's faction. Would you like to know what that name was?
Go for it.
It's an
Sports
ass.
Entertainment Extreme. Do you know what the initials of that faction was?
What's Entertainment Extreme? Go for it.
SEX. That's literally what they were called. What was one thing he did? He had the two women always, because that was... So apparently Vince Russo had said on his podcast that he built SEX to rehash WCW versus NWO. So when you saw the women, you're like, oh, that's the SEX shit. And then you see the NWA TNA, you're like, oh, well, that's NWA TNA. But it was kind of like, you know how like NWO did the whole WCW NWO thing, where it was like, we own the company, nah, WCW owns the company, blah, blah, blah. It was like that, but it never got that far because like Vince Russo did what Vince Russo does, and people were like, dude, fuck you, we're out. And then the company was like, oh, that guy's costing us money.
There is another person that I wanted to kind of bring up in honorable mention.
Yeah, go ahead.
And that's Jeff Hardy. And the
Big
reason
time
why
TNA guy, big time TNA.
Well, there's a reason why I brought him up too. Because he was technically in the first ever TNA NWA pay-per-view.
Yeah, Victory
event.
Road. Victory Road against AJ
And-
Styles.
Yes, and I sat there watching AJ coming out, and he's just walking around the ring, and all of a sudden, I hear music. I'm like,
Yeah, there was
who's that?
Yeah, I remember that shit because it was the Next Division title open challenge.
And here he comes walking out. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, bro, and it was crazy because that's when that was like one of the first times Jeff Hardy was released due to drugs. And then he went to TNA because, you know, TNA's loose ass wellness policy. And then later on would have the Victory Road incident with Sting. But
I also recall at the time, Ron Killings came out. I think he was going to have a match or he was doing a promo, one of the two. And then all of a sudden, here comes Vince Russo with a baseball bat. And I'm like,
the Batman, Vince Russo.
why?
They called him the Batman.
Why is he coming out with the bat? I had no idea that was the reason.
So, okay,
but,
so early on, Sting had showed up too. Sting had partnered with Jeff Jarrett to take on the evil Vince Russo guys. Well, Sting, you know, obviously we know Sting, black and white face paint, trench coat, ball bat. Vince Russo beats up Sting, steals the ball bat. Then he says, I am the Batman! Because he's the guy with the big black bat. Because that's, excuse me, that's what Sting would call himself. He'd like go in promos, you're the nature boy, you're the blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm the guy with the big black bat. And Vince Russo would take that shit. And he tried. Vince Russo fucking tried. So, like, I give Vince Russo a lot of credit when I shouldn't. Because damn did he try to be entertaining. But damn did he suck. Like, granted, did you know that he's 100% responsible for Undertaker and Kane? That whole feud? When Kane debuted and they did that whole thing?
I heard something about
that. That was all Vince Russo. And Cornette was shitting all over it. Because, for those of you who don't know, Kane debuted October 5th, 1997. The night I was born. And then, so, Kane was Undertaker's evil brother. Who survived the fire and blah, blah, blah. The fire burned his face, blah, 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 blah. The thing that pissed Jim Cornette off is he debuts in October, right? WrestleMania is in March. John, we touched on this earlier tonight when we were watching AEW. What do you want two guys not to do until right before the pay-per-view? Touch. What does Kane and Undertaker do 3 weeks in? Touch. Granted, they had Kane debut and beat the shit out of Undertaker, tombstone him, whammo, cost him the first Hell in a Cell match. That was cool. We needed a reason for Undertaker to want to whip his ass. We get 3 weeks in, he's got Taker through the announce table. Bam! Taker refuses to hit his brother. Then he sets Undertaker on fire. Refuses to touch his brother. Then all of a sudden he sits up in like December and says, Kane, I'm gonna take you to the pits of hell. We're now in January. We have 3 more months. What do we do now? Literally, if you watch that shit back, they're beating the shit out of each other for 3 months. Just unholy ass beatings. And, like, then we get to WrestleMania and they have now I'm not going to say lackluster because it is very important to Kane's career and Undertaker's because that is the first time Kane and him fight. Well, fight. And then they go on to have the Inferno match at the Armageddon 4 months later. And then they go on to have, like, several more matches in their career. But, like, Jim Cornette, I remember watching this podcast Jim Cornette's doing, and he's shitting all over this. He's like, but, like, he goes, yeah, it was all Vince Russo's idea. And the guy running the show's like, wait a minute. Russo gave us Kane and Taker? And the guy's like, yeah. Cornette's like, yeah, it was all his idea. And he goes, maybe he's not an idiot. Because if you also remember, Vince Russo also has went on record in the past to say the Montreal screw job was all his idea. Then when everyone was like, oh, you're a piece of shit, he goes, actually, that was Jim Cornette and Vince and blah, blah, blah. Now that he's getting bad heat for it, he's like, oh, I didn't do that. Like, and then Cornette says, it was Russo. Russo says it was Cornette. Vince McMahon says, fuck it, it was me. And then fucking Shawn goes, I didn't know, we know the Montreal Screwjob story. But, back to TNA because of Vince Russo, I had a hot take to go along with the James Gang thing. I honestly think that around the time they were doing that, to make that storyline matter, I think they should have slapped the tag titles on them. Because why, like, in my opinion, it meant nothing that the two legends, before they were Hall of Famers, and came in, did the VKM thing, was calling out guys on Raw. It made no sense. But if they're the tag champions, if you go back, DX were the tag champions. Now you got something to build. Call them out. Because they did that. They ended up calling them out. Fuck, put the tag titles on the line. Say, we'll put the tag titles on the line. Then you got like an interpromotional thing you could work with. Like, hey, Vince, you always say, make me money. We'll let you go over, guy. We just want the revenue. Because you put Triple H and Shawn Michaels on a TNA pay-per-view, they're selling Madison Square Garden now. Because, also known fact, did you know that the New Age Outlaws were on the same card 47 times? Oh, Kaiju, thank you so much for the raid, my guy. Thank you. Did you know that because of them, Madison Square Garden... Well, I'm not going to say they were the sole reason before you catch me off here, Nate, because I know that's what you're going to do. You're going to cut me at the knees as soon as I finish that sentence. They were on a card 47 times that sold out Madison Square Garden. Thus meaning that those two guys took part in selling out Madison Square Garden 47 times in a row. So now you have established legends in Road Dogg and Jesse James. Put them against Shawn Michaels and Triple H as they're the tag champions and they're the tag champions. You got something to build off of. My hot take was they should have slapped the tag titles on them when they were doing that whole thing. Do you agree? Do you think that would have been a good... Granted, it ended up being a waste of TV time and a waste of money, but you think at that point that would have been a good idea?
Don't know.
You don't know? What do you mean you don't know, John?
I mean, I don't know. I'll be straight up honest with you. Can I start down for 5 minutes?
Nate, do you got something to add to that?
What?
Do you think that when they were doing the VKM thing, that they should have slapped the tag titles on them to make that mean something?
Yes.
All right, Nate, this is the part where I'll let you take over for a minute.
Woo!
Because I'm going to step away and go to the bathroom real fast. Give us a controversial TNA hot take.
Ooh,
A controversial TNA hot take. Oh boy. I
got one
cannot wait for this TNA hot take. This TNA hot take is brought to you by Nate Ken Game, twitch.tv/Nate Ken Game. Okay. Hot take. TNA was responsible for Jeff Hardy becoming as big as he was. And here's why I say that. Jeff Hardy went to TNA, had a pretty good run. I think they finally saw what they needed to see in him after he had left in 2003. He went to TNA in 2004, stayed until 2006, and then that's when the Hardy Boys reunite, and he just skyrockets to the top. They saw what they needed to see from Jeff in TNA, and they rehired him. And then, when they were done with him, they threw him away, went to TNA, became their biggest name
What was that hot take?
for like 5 fucking years.
What was that hot take?
Oh, TNA is responsible for Jeff Hardy's career revival.
Career revival?
Yeah. For making WWE see the world champion potential in him.
He was a world champion before he was in TNA.
No, he was not.
Yes, he was.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, he was.
He won the world title in 2008. He was in TNA from 2004 to 2006.
He didn't win the world title in 2004 and 2006.
Yeah, he won it in 2008.
When did
after
he win?
TNA.
I mean, I guess you could say that they made him see the world title potential, I guess. He
There's
didn't
no I
fight for
guess
the world
about
title. I mean, I'm saying, like, it makes an argument. Like, I'm not saying I disagree with you because I don't.
He had really good matches in TNA. He was the number 1 contender for the world title. Then that kind of shit out.
Yeah, I mean, you're right.
He fought Abyss. He had a great match with Raven.
He had a great feud with Raven.
Yeah, he had a great feud with Raven. He was supposed to fight him in the Orange House of Fun match at Hard Justice, and then got fucked by a canceled flight. But still. Jeff Hardy had a great feud with Raven, great feud with Abyss, and I think that's what made WWE be like, you know, that might actually, he might actually be worth it. And he fought for the world title. He fought Jeff Jarrett after he won the tournament.
Mm-hmm. I'm not saying he didn't fight for the world title. But you gotta realize,
if you can have a good match with Jeff Jarrett in 2004 or 2005, whenever that was, you can have a good match with an actual top-of-the-line talent, like he did with Triple H and Edge.
I mean, you're. I'm not saying you're wrong because you're not. I mean, you're absolutely right. So now, let's move on here before we close things out. Let's talk about something that everyone's going to be able to chime in on.
Yes.
Best manager in professional wrestling today.
I think we should let Nate go first on this one.
Hey, go ahead.
Why
buddy.
the fuck am I going first?
Because you always have the greatest, like...
No, I wanted him to go first because usually I butt him first on this occasion right now, but...
You know... Honestly, and I'm not just saying this because he might actually listen to this.
Kaiju, how is it no one? Hold on, Kaiju. I'm gonna let Nate talk and John talk. Then I'll get to you in a minute. Go ahead, Nate.
He might listen to this, but know that I'm being 100% genuine. Because I know sometimes he might listen to some random ass fucking podcast. I think it's smart Mark Sterling. I think Sterling he's a great character. He's a really good entertainer. You said today, not of all time. You said today.
I know what I said.
And the reason I'm not going to say Paul Heyman is because Paul Heyman's taking Roman Reigns after Roman Reigns has become Roman Reigns. Smart Mark Sterling took Jade Cargill, took that chance, and has pushed her to a point where she's fucking great. She's easily one of the most hated and arguably over women in AEW right now. She's showing a shit ton of potential. She's showing a shit ton of just, she's good.
Kaiju says in the chat, there's literally no good managers in his opinion.
Sean Spears. Sean Spears is a glorified manager now.
I mean, you're right. All right, John.
But yeah,
Your answer.
I think smart Mark Sterling.
Paul Heyman.
I think Paul Heyman is easily, and it's just because of like everyone he's ever aligned with.
But you said today.
No, I know.
We're not talking about their legacies. We're talking about right now.
No, I'm aware, but because of what he's done now with Roman, it throws Paul Heyman into a new category. Because with what he's done with Roman and the Usos, because he's also helped manage the Usos now, and the fact that he helped that whole Jay and Roman thing, because Roman really didn't talk a whole lot during that. That was kind of Paul and Jay, basically. Because Paul was like, Jay, you're not as good as Jimmy. You're not that guy. You're gonna fail and blah, blah, blah. It's just that shit. I think Paul Heyman, because of what he's done with Roman, not only makes him the greatest manager of this of this era, I think it almost has him top Bobby the Brain Heenan as the greatest of all time. Because, like... And for that conversation, the greatest of all time conversation, the only reason I say that is because look at everyone he's worked with. RVD, Punk, Big Show, Lesnar, Roman. The list goes on. All the ECW guys, everything. Like, that has a big part to play with why he's the greatest manager now, because he was already successful. And for a long time, he was always managing the guys that Roman was fighting. Brock Lesnar. He was managing CM Punk when Roman was first starting to step out of the Shield and become the star. But
the only person I would put over Mark Sterling, if at all, is MVP. Because MVP has kind of accepted the manager role, and he's a phenomenal talker. Took Bobby Lashley to the world title. He's probably going to take Omos to a mid-card title, if not a world title down the line. Who knows?
So, now with that...
But if you're talking greatest of all time, that's...
So, my final
that's
question...
something you don't want to get into with me.
My final question before we wrap this up. I want you each to pick 3 guys to put in this year's Hall of Fame. And I'm going to go first. I'm going to say MVP. And I'll give you a reason why. MVP has not just been a phenomenal character in the WWE, hell of an artist, phenomenal manager, phenomenal in-ring talent. But look what he did in New Japan. Literally the very first ever IWGP Intercontinental Champion. That's a big thing. That can never be erased. That is a big thing. I think MVP belongs in the Hall of Fame. I think this year you should also put Triple H in. Because, one, he retired, so he fits the requirement for the Hall of Fame. Granted, MVP is not really retired, but he is. And I think the third guy you put in the Hall of Fame is the Big Show. Because the Big Show, after Andre the Giant, was the second greatest giant in WWE history. If not, in all of professional wrestling history. Because Andre the Giant, I'll be honest, in the later part of his career was a one-dimensional big guy. Big Show, through his entire career, was an all-around phenomenal athlete for his size, was a hilarious character, and the dude could talk. Unlike Andre, he didn't need a manager, though Big Show did get several of them. And Big Show's had more heel and face switches than anyone that I've ever seen. But Nate, go ahead. And Kaiju, that's actually incorrect. Because when Billy Gunn got put in a part of DX in the Hall of Fame, he was contracted to AEW. He was in AEW when that happened.
People getting inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame.
3. You have to pick 3.
Triple H, in my opinion, even though he's still active, because you pick someone who's still pretty much active, if we're allowed to do that, Michael Cole.
Oh yeah, because
Michael Cole has been sitting there with. Michael Cole's been sitting there with. He's been sitting there.
In 2028,
wanting and
years.
needing that. Yeah.
In 2028, it'll be 30 years.
He's been sitting by some of the greatest of all time.
And he's learned from the greatest of all time. Vince McMahon, JR, the King.
3. Bam Bam.
He's already in.
No, he's not.
Is he not?
No.
I could have swore. He's really not?
No, he's not.
Oh, definitely. I agree. 100% hands down. No argument.
Hold on. I'm going to look
Vader's
that
in.
up real quick.
I know
Bam
Vader's
Bam's
in. I really thought Bam Bam went in.
Hold on, I'm looking it up.
I'm looking at it right now. The only thing he ever did for the WWE/F was win a Slammy Award in 1987.
Really? Never been in there.
If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I'll admit it. He was supposed to go in like years ago, but he never did.
Never been in the Hall of Fame.
Okay. He was supposed to be inducted in the class of 2019, but
oh yeah, the
scrapped.
COVID thing, yeah, because Batista's still not in.
Well, Batista decided to not go in at all because he said like it was that one perfect opportunity. The pandemic happened and completely ruined the idea, so he doesn't want to go in. He rejected it when they had sent out the offer to him when they came back, and he's like, "Yeah, no, I'm good."
Did Bam Bam have issues? Kaiju says. I don't think.
I
No.
mean, he committed. The only reason I could think is he committed suicide, but so did Eddie. Well, no, Eddie overdosed.
Yeah, I was gonna say he didn't commit suicide.
And if you're talking a mid-card talent to get inducted,
Actually,
I would even replace.
Apparently, this year he's actually supposed to be inducted this year. So.
Oh, okay. Well, then, if that's already stated, then replace Bam Bam with, in my opinion, one of the most underrated wrestlers who he fucked his own career by botching and messing up somebody for life, D'Lo Brown.
Oh yeah, because he fucked Draws up.
Yep, fucked Draws up, but
D'Lo Brown.
I wouldn't even go for the Nasty Boys.
Yeah. All right, John.
But I think Brian's still suing the WWE.
I have no idea.
Or Jerry.
John, go ahead.
John Cena.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Randy Orton.
Obviously.
And
that was 2. I really did. I don't even know why I didn't mention them. That's a good one. I'm looking at a list of 14 people who are not in, and it wasn't updated this year because there's a few people that were inducted now. And like, there's one name on here that like blows my mind that he wasn't inducted.
I'm trying to think of another one here real quick. Really trying to think. I mean, does it have to be somebody that's like not active or could
No.
be
I'm saying 3 people
road?
that you would put in the Hall of Fame.
I would definitely put the Brian Kendrick in the Hall of Fame as well.
Whoa. What?
Yeah.
Why?
It's technically still in my heart.
He's a former WWE champion.
A former WWE champion.
The championship's
I will never forget that moment.
The only other person I could see going above like D'Lo or the Nasty Boys is Earl Hebner.
Yeah. I saw one here, Nate. You'll probably agree though because of later videos that were put in.
Yeah.
Victoria. Granted, now if you Google it, the first thing you're gonna see is the spicy content that was released.
Porn.
You can't say that on Twitch.
Porn.
You can't say that on Twitch.
Yes, you can.
Oh, can you?
You can say it. Can't show it.
Oh. Yeah, she did some spicy content. And
you did some spicy.
But I think because of her contributions I think she belongs in the Hall of Fame.
You know who I think belongs in the WWE Hall of Fame?
Who?
Ted Turner.
I mean, they put they put Eric Bischoff in. Might as well. Might as well. You know who else I would probably put in the Hall of Fame?
Who?
And I'm surprised none of us said it. The Rock.
Demolition.
Yeah.
Jim Johnston, hell.
Jim Johnston, hell yeah. He gave us all the great themes that we know to this day.
The Shield.
Love these wrestlers.
Hell,
Thank you.
actually, put in Evolution. You get Triple H and Batista at once.
Kaiju, thank you. I appreciate that you love these talks, man. I honestly, I disagree with Evolution going in as a whole. And the main reason why is because I think each of them deserve their own spot. I think Triple H deserves his own spot.
Ric Flair got his own spot, and he got inducted with the Horsemen.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying, like, he got his own spot first. I think Batista and Orton deserve their own spot because Batista was a pivotal role in the Ruthless Aggression era.
I mean, Triple H got DX before he got his own, though.
He hasn't still got his own. Well, yeah, but
exactly. So why not induct Evolution?
I think China deserves her own spot because literally one of the most pioneering.
Did she not have her own spot?
No, she went in with DX.
Oh.
She never got her own spot.
Yeah, she did not get her own spot. That's wild.
And, like, there was another list on here. Andy Kaufman. I don't know if you guys remember that guy or not.
Oh, my God, Andy Kaufman, the guy who called
Had a
pro
rivalry
wrestling
with,
fake and got punched in the mouth by Jerry Lawler. Wait, am I thinking of the right person?
No.
Called wrestling fake and got punched in the
No.
face by Jerry Lawler?
No, that was
Who was that?
No, the guy who got punched in the face, I can't remember his name, but he actually didn't get punched
It
in
was
the
Andy
face.
Kaufman.
He didn't get punched in the face. He got slapped really
Oh,
hard.
you're not thinking of the Jerry the King Lawler isn't the one who did that, John. You're thinking of David Schultz. Schultz smacked that guy.
Jerry Lawler. Jerry Lawler showed up on Andy Kaufman's show and slapped him.
Yeah, no, I know
He showed
that.
up on the
Yeah.
Letterman. They were on the Letterman show and slapped him.
No, the one I'm thinking of was the guy was backstage.
Yeah, that was David
And-
Schultz.
Oh yeah,
He was
no,
a
that
reporter.
wasn't Jerry Lawler.
It was I think it was Sid Vicious.
No, that was
that
David
slapped
Schultz.
him really hard.
That was David Schultz. It
it
looks
was
like
Dave
Sid
Schultz.
Vicious. It looks
It was
like
Dave
Sid
Schultz.
Vicious.
Dave Schultz just like, is
Because
that
he
real?
He said, you're very manly for being in a fake sport. And
Well, yeah,
wham!
look.
Smacked the taste out of his mouth. He goes, is that fake? And then he
But
smacked
yeah,
him
look
again.
in VC chat. I was talking about the right person. Jerry Lawler had a Andy Kaufman.
Yeah, but that was scripted.
Slapped him.
No, it was
Slap.
scripted, though, yeah.
I'll
I
slap
mean,
you.
even if it was a good contact slap, it still could be scripted.
You know, I see a guy on this list of people who
Connor,
aren't
it's
in the Hall of
kayfabe.
Fame.
You got to keep the kayfabe.
True.
You got to keep the kayfabe.
But you know
It
who
wasn't
else?
scripted. It was real.
You know
he
who
really
else?
slapped him.
You know who else belongs in the Hall of Fame just because of like?
I mean, Hogan and the NWO are in there.
Yeah,
You're
Kaiju,
right, Kaiju.
you're 100% right.
You're
But
right.
Christian, he belongs in the Hall of Fame because if Edge is in, they need to put the Hardys in. They've already put the Dudleys in. Put
They
Christian
won't
in
put
the
the
Hall of
Hardys
Fame
in because Jeff denied it.
That's because they didn't want to put the Hardys in. They just wanted to put Jeff in. Jeff said, "Put my brother in too," and they said, "Nah, we'll pass." And he's like, "Good, I'm out."
I don't know.
I'd put Christian. In the Hall of
I
Fame.
don't think they're gonna put Christian in the Hall of Fame,
I don't think they will either, but I think they
and
should.
I honestly don't think he deserves it.
I do. He was just.
I don't.
I do.
I don't.
He was a world champion. He was a
Yeah.
pivotal part of that Edge, Christian, Hardys, Dudleys thing.
He was also a pivotal part of two of their main fucking. Well, not pivotal. He's a part of two of their biggest competitors. He literally spearheaded the fight between TNA and WWE, and he's now in AEW to fight WWE.
They're not fighting.
Ah.
Like, they ain't
Huh?
touching Raw. They're not touching Raw. They're never gonna be Raw in the ratings. If they do, like, it's gotta be something like
Who,
Raw
AEW?
United. Yeah.
Well, no shit. Why do you think they switched the nights to fight NXT?
Christian's career was better in TNA. You're 100% right. It was way better
Christian
than TNA.
That's why Christian Cage is in the TNA Hall of Fame.
That and like he had a lot of
The
great.
Dudley Boys are in the Hall of Fame.
That's what I said. Yeah, the Dudley Boys are in. Yeah.
Dudleys. Those damn Dudleys. You know that they originally wanted to include Spike in that?
I don't see why they didn't.
They wanted to include Spike in it, but Spike fucking declined it because Spike said, and I quote, if I remember the quote correctly, don't call me out in the chat if I'm wrong, I don't deserve it as much as Bubba and Devon do.
I mean,
I was their stunt. I was their stunt man. I was not an actual part of the Dudley Boys.
They're not wrong, though. But all right, guys. This is episode 2 of ZFG Radio. I appreciate everyone tuning in. Catch us this time again next week on Wednesday night.
Thank you!
It's going to air tomorrow night on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everywhere else. Thank you, John, for setting me up with Anchor. Thank you guys so much.
I called Nate out anyway.
Thank you for tuning us out.
Whore.
Tuning into us. Oh, my God. Thank you guys.
Tuning us out, tuning in.
Have a good night.